Hey, how's it going? My name's Bill. Welcome to maybe the first video, maybe the last of my bus blog. I guess we're gonna call it Bill's bus blog. This is the bus that I got for $1,000. Off eBay. It runs. Came with fuel. Some things will need a little work. Underneath, it's not great. It's 1999, so it's been through 24 years of East Coast winters, which means all the bottoms like starting to corrode and all that. But it's still solid. I don't have any peeling metal. So when I got it, all of the stop signs, everything that indicates this is a school bus was removed. So this video, I guess, is just going to be a quick introduction to my bus. There's a few things that I've gotten done that I didn't have time to film because I was doing everything at night, or not at night, but since it is at time of filming, it is November 20th, which means daylight savings time has ended or began. I don't really know. It's one of the two. Also, I'm also recording on my phone. You'll notice this like black dot here if I move my face. Yeah, I shone a laser in the camera when I got bored once. I don't know why I did that. I knew that was gonna happen. So you're just gonna have to deal with that until I get a better camera setup. But for now, we're dealing with my phone mount leaning up against the windshield. So I did a few things in the past couple weeks. Nothing major, just things that I had to get done for the bus to function and for me to be able to drive it properly. Most importantly, I installed a backup camera. Well, not most importantly compared to the next point where the battery was dead, so I had to replace that. So that's also important. But like I said, it becomes dark at 5 p.m., which means most of my work was being done with little headlamps, and phone and flashlights. So filming it wouldn't have done us any good. It wouldn't have shown you what I was doing. So I figured it'd be easier just to show you post-mortem, I guess, after it's all been done. So let's get started. So like I said, this is a 1999 International 3800. It is 35 feet long. It's got a DT466E as an engine. Runs great. The only thing I've noticed is, and this isn't even the engine, this is just the engine bay. The windshield washer fluid has a leak in it, so all of that's gone. I noticed that when I brought it home the first day, there was a little leak, but windshield, I'm not too worried about that. I mean, that of all the things that could go wrong on this bus, and I'm going to regret saying this, but of all the things that could have gone wrong in the first few days, that I'm fine with. I don't really need that. Worst case scenario, I mean, I'm not driving this in like the snow for now. So for those who don't know me, I mean, not a lot of people who see this are going to know me. I'm Bill. Like I said, I'm 21 years old. I am absolutely not qualified to drive this thing. But I got it anyway because I wanted to, and I thought it'd be a funny purchase. Who knows? Maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, I might sell it, give up on the project. But for now, I thought it'd be fun. I have my parents' support helping me, so huge shout out to them for not going completely ballistic on me for telling them the night before picking it up that I had already purchased a school bus. Yeah. Also, I know next to nothing about engines. I'm more of an electrical guy, so fuses I can kind of figure out. Batteries, with the exception of this guy, which I'll get into, I can figure out, but when it comes to actual engine mechanics, I have no clue. And going into a diesel, this is going to be an even more fun experience. I know the parts on an engine. I can look them up. I don't know how they go together. I have to watch a bunch of videos. So does everyone, but yeah. So yeah. That's my introduction. So let's go over things I've already done so far. First thing that I got done, insured it before I even picked it up because I didn't want to drive it without insurance. I got it registered. Secondly, of course, this is going to be a long story. I guess I'll use the chapters feature if I know how to work that. Skip this if you don't care about DMV nonsense. But basically, I live in the state of New Jersey, where school buses can't be yellow. Like I mentioned, they can't have the warning indicators on the top. They can't have the pole bar in the front or the stop sign. Anything that says school bus, it can't have any of that. I got very lucky. The school that I purchased this from was in PA. but they also have the same kind of rules except for it being yellow. So all the signs were gone, all the stop sign, the lights, they were covered up. So first thing that I did was I got it painted. And this is something that I just got done a few days ago. And then registration. So registration I did beforehand because I told the DMV what color was being painted and it was about to be painted. And luckily they let me through. I don't think you can normally get away with that, but the woman I was with, we had a very good rapport, so I guess she let me go because she was excited for the project too. A lot of people are excited for this that I've never met before, which is kind of making me even more excited about this. So I said I gave them a picture of what it's going to look like. Probably can't get away with that, so I wouldn't try that ever again. But yeah. So the day I picked it up, however, like I said, it was in Pennsylvania, which is the stop was about a little over an hour from where I am. In PA, you have to get a vehicle notarized to transfer the title. In New Jersey, you do not. So I opted to not get it notarized, which also meant that I opted to not be able to get temp tags, which also meant that I was driving over the state border, just driving in general without license plates on the first day. And then it was sitting on my street for about a week or two without tags. But I put a little sign in the window that just said, hey, this is insured. Please don't pull me over. I'm bringing it home. I don't want to pay to get it towed. That sucks. And I got away with it. Again, I don't know how successful someone else would be. I got very lucky with this entire thing in general. If you want to risk it, go ahead. But personally, I would say don't try what I'm just telling you how it is, what I did. But I would not try this. This was very sketchy the whole time. I drove past a few police and they didn't even notice. I guess even though like all the signs were scrubbed off, so who knows? But I couldn't take the main highway or anything like that. So I had to drive through Center Philly on the Schuylkill Expressway. For those of you who don't know, it is the worst road you could possibly drive on when you've never driven a vehicle this size. For the first time in work, going home work traffic. So, bumper to bumper for a couple hours sitting in traffic. And like I said, I've never driven something this size before. My other vehicle, which is weird to say, my other vehicle is a Ram 1500. It's a 2014. It's pretty sizable. It's a 4-door. So not to say that I drive a small car, but comparatively to this, it is a Prius. So, yeah, driving through Center Philly in this was fun with no plates, kind of clenching a little bit. Had my phone in this little cup holder over here with navigation, but luckily shout out to my mom. She was able to kind of guide me because I was so nervous. I wasn't really looking in the directions initially, so I just kind of had her as like a tow vehicle, kind of just like in front of me the whole time. And I put the navigation home on her phone, so I just followed her. Yeah, so that was the process of getting it home and getting it registered. Insurance-wise, I know I'm all over. This isn't scripted. This is just me, like, off the cuff. Insurance-wise, I tried to go through my current insurance provider. They would not cover it, even though I said it was going to eventually be an RV. Since it is titled as a bus, I couldn't go through them. So I had to go through Progressive Commercial, which they have a personal use option, which is very interesting because if you go through Progressive normally, they don't. But they have a personal use option under Progressive Commercial that lets you license this, insure this very simply, very easily. That was very straightforward. The only downside with going through commercial, there's no auto pay, so you have to make sure you pay it every month, which is fine as long as you pay attention to your emails. I prefer auto pay on almost everything. I like to not have to look at my bank account as it gets drained even more after buying this. It's pretty cheap. It was only, I want to say it's cheaper than my pickup. It is cheaper to insure this giant thing than it is my pickup. It is $800 every 6 months to insure this bus. And, paid off monthly. Yeah, and I also mentioned it's titled as a bus. Basically, it's not fully converted. You have to go through a whole entire packet. And if I remember, I'll try to link in the description. But you have to go through an entire packet to title it as an RV officially. So instead of a bus, Luckily, you can have it as a bus for personal use, and I got away with it, but the stipulation is the previous group, the previous owners that I bought this bus from already had it titled as a bus, not a school bus. If it was still titled as a school bus, I probably would have given up on this, because you have to go through a whole process. You have to remove all the seats. You have to install like a bed, a stove, a toilet. You have to do all that before you can register. And frankly, I wasn't going to do that because I need to move it somewhere. And like I need to be able to drive it around. And I can't afford to do any renovations, so it would have just sat forever if I did that. So again, I got extremely lucky that it was titled as a bus. I was told specifically by the DMV that they would not have let me do it if it was as a title as a school bus. It's different in every state, because believe me, I went through this whole thing. I was considering taking up residency in different states just to get insured, like titled. But eventually I got lucked out and it was able to work. But that's about that. So let's get through all the changes that I have made. Again, I'm sorry, I rambled. This is off the cuff. I just have a lot of thoughts in my brain. So first thing that I did physically was get it painted, as I mentioned. I got it painted, bluish gray, I would say. So the reason for that is I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I eventually plan to do it up. I'm gonna have a bunch of signs on it that says like kind of USS Enterprise-esque, but not the Enterprise. It's gonna be something else. Not entirely sure yet. But again, I'm gonna try to decal it like a starship, and I think that'd look really cool. So I went with gray. My friends thought it was a prison bus, which is funny, and probably next Halloween I probably will get all my friends in orange jumpsuits and go around trick-or-treating and look like we're escaping on a prison bus. I don't know if we'll get arrested, but it would be pretty darn funny. So got it painted. That took about 2 months, and then I just got it back last Monday, so a week from today. They had to jump it when they pulled it out of the lot, and unfortunately, I bought it home, and the next day, the battery was dead again. And I tried jumping it with my pickup truck. That didn't work. So I promised my friend a ride in the bus for her first time, because she thought it was cool, but we weren't able to do that, so we had to spend the whole day going around, going to AutoZone, getting both the batteries tested, and then we had to wait for it to get tested / charged. But after that was done, we came back, and AutoZone was like, one of your batteries is still good, the other one is completely dead, so you need to buy a new one. And I was like, okay. It was only $130. It's a special type of battery. It's not a normal car battery. I don't remember the type off the top of my head. I'd have to take a look, or maybe when I go try to show you later. But anyway, it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be, thank God, because I've already spent a lot of money. The paint job was $4,500. Not something I could really afford, but paid for it anyway. But unfortunately, so these batteries, like I said, it's 2 batteries on the bus. I didn't know how to hook them up because I didn't take a picture or anything or memorize anything when I took them apart to take them. So for about like 5 hours, I scratched my head, tried to figure it out. The 2 batteries are in parallel, but there was an extra ground cable, which made me scratch my head for a couple hours. Eventually we figured it out, but a lot of sparks flew, a lot of clenching. It was very exciting. Needless to say, it was very exciting to get it to start up again. The last thing that I did so far was install a backup camera, because Jesus Christ, I cannot back this thing up without it. That's probably the bad thing about driving in an era where every vehicle has a backup camera, because I am utterly useless without it, to say the least. So it has a backup camera now. Very, very cool process. Wasn't the hardest thing in the world, except something I'll get into later, which with the wiring. I don't really know what that was about. It wasn't hard. It was just annoying that it wasn't working, really. So that's everything. That's everything that I have changed so far. Next up for the bus is my immediate 2, and that's all I can really think of for the time being, replacing the diaphragms in the brake canisters, because I have to hit the brakes pretty hard, and I'm kind of assuming that's what it is. They don't squeak that much when I drive, so I don't think it's the calipers yet, or the brake shoes. I guess that's what they're called in air brakes. I'm still learning this. So the air canisters, I have to replace the diaphragm in them. I watch a few videos. I believe the channel I've been watching to do that is called Bussy McBusface, which is a pretty darn good name. So shout out to them for my eventual brake repairs. Because apparently there's some things you can do that will literally kill you. So as they showed how to not do that, which I appreciate. I bought a bunch of wheel chocks for it, so that's probably one of the first things I'm going to do. So replacing those to make the brakes work a bit better, and then replacing the oil and learning how to do that. I have to get the equipment to do that. So that's going to be a process. In the future, I want to install like a modern, like a CarPlay radio or something like that, but that's not for a long time. So I got this thing, which is just an FM transmitter that goes into a cigarette lighter, which is right next to the current radio. So it very efficient. So let's go over, I'm going to go over the paint job. I'm going to show you the battery compartment. We'll just go over the paint job really quick because I want to show it off. Look, they did a really darn good job. And then we will briefly go over the backup camera. So yeah, I will show you that in 1 second. Okay, so as you can see, this is the new gray paint job. It's very nice, very shiny. I'm very happy with how it came out. I got this done at Mako for $4,500, as I mentioned, which is the best price I could find. All the other shops quoted me like $20,000 plus, so I wasn't gonna pay that. So we got this, which they did an amazing job. As I mentioned before, the previous owners had already taken off all the school markings. Not that that matters because it's already been painted, but the school markings were taken off. And they also covered up the backup lights. They removed the stop sign on the side, the sway bar in the front, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. These are covered up. The circuit's still there, which if I ever want to tie into that, that's very nice. This is the backup camera I installed. Very simple. I didn't realize how hard it would be to drill through this because it has solid metal, and I've never done that on a car. So that was an interesting learning experience, having to stand up on a stool at like 7 p.m. drilling in there in like 30-degree weather. So that was nice with dying drill batteries. And that's running into the door. Eventually, I'd like to drill another hole through here just to get the cable neater, because right now, whenever the door opens and closes, it squishes the wire, and I don't want that to break eventually, because then I'd have to rewire it, or at least crimp it or something. I don't know. And then that light, that floodlight up there, was added by the previous owners. Very nice. It's tied into the emergency exit light, which you can turn on from the control panel up front. So whenever you turn on the emergency light, this comes on, which is very nice because I just tied the camera into that circuit. So whenever I turn the emergency light on, the camera comes on, which means at night I get an even brighter light in addition to the white backup lights here. So it's very bright when I'm backing up, which I really like. Very simple. It's just one switch to turn all that stuff on. And that's it. Like I said, very shiny paint job. Very well done. There's some rust spots that I'm not too thrilled about, but that's because I told them specifically not to paint, not to take care of the rust, because that would cost me more money that I didn't have. So eventually, if I take care of the rust spots, I don't think I can see one here, but when I take care of the rust spots, I'll just have to repaint over it, which is not that big of a deal. So let's go over the battery compartment, as I mentioned before. And this is rust on the inside. Again, they just did the exterior. This is something I'm gonna have to fix myself. I'm gonna sand down this whole thing eventually and fill it with Rust-Oleum. Just a spray can. Very crude job, but it'll get the job done. So this is the new battery. This is the old one. The old batteries were completely unlabeled. They did not have any. There's a warning label there, but that tells you nothing about what the battery is. So we were kind of scratching our heads a little bit. Even the AutoZone kind of had to figure it out. They just kind of did guesswork by just seeing which battery closely matched it. Again, sorry, you can't really see it well, but positive to positive, negative and negative. Positive main connectors back there, up to here, and then there's a ground connector on this battery and a ground connector in the back of this battery, which is what threw me off for maybe 5 hours. But it's up and running now. Hopefully it turns on. I haven't used it in a day or two and it's been kind of cold. But that's pretty simple. So let's go back inside and take a look at the backup camera. Okay, so the backup camera circuit, again, very simple. It's tied onto this emergency light right here. And I forgot to get my keys out, so let me get that really quick. This has made me have like about 10 million bajillion keys on my key fob now. But anyway, so let's turn system on. And I'm going to hit this light, See that backup light's off there. Gonna hit this light. That comes on. And on this screen here, there it is. There's the car behind me. This car is the main reason why I got the system, because that car is very low. And from here, I mean, the phone's in the way, but from here you can't see that car at all. You can't see it there. You can't see it from anywhere. It's a very low car. It's been sitting there a while, so I kind of use it as a backup reference. I like to be a little bit further in this. This was my first time using the camera, so it was kind of finicky. I have adjusted it since, so I'd like to be a bit closer to that stop sign. But yeah, this is a very, very easy system. This system allows for more cameras, so I might install more at some point. Not sure yet. This also apparently has a filming feature, which I have to find. I haven't spent too much time with, and I'm not going to spend time with it here. Unfortunately, it came with a thin, short cable that only runs... That's why it's kind of this ugly cable that wraps around the fan here. Eventually, when I redo everything, I'll probably redo that. But basically, without opening this up, this is tying directly into this circuit, the cigarette lighter. And that cigarette lighter is always live, even when the bus is off. So, not the brightest option, but that was this is a rat's nest in here. I don't know how anyone figures that out. But I didn't want to like mess anything up or put on a switch by accident that I need, because this is all, you know, fan systems, heaters, stuff like that. Let me turn the battery off so I don't kill it. Anyway, so whenever I want to turn this off, I just press this button here. And if I remember, I'll put the Amazon link into this. It's very simple. Works for what I need. I don't really need it much, just for backing up in my neighborhood, pretty much. Yeah, but that's about it. This taps on the cigarette lighter, which is where I put this FM transmitter, which transmits to this guy here, so I can listen to music. Because, that's probably another thing I should mention, they have speaker systems in here. This 1999 bus does in fact have a very nice set of speakers. I haven't really messed with it yet. You can see, I don't know where that went. Oh, here it is. There's a dangling cable here for the speaker system, which goes into this, I don't know what that is, a subwoofer maybe? The guys that I bought it from just gave it to me, which was very nice. Another one here, another one here, another one here. So eventually I'd like to get those hooked up to the main system for better sound. I'd like to get maybe a speaker by the driver's seat eventually. That's something I want to look forward to. Or look into, because it's just back here, which makes sense. I mean, it was designed for passengers, but now it's just me. Also, the previous owners on here, this is probably my favorite feature, but my previous owners actually staggered the seats here. They got rid of the back row by the door, and then they staggered these clusters of tables and seats into tables, which is really cool. My friends and I really like this. When I eventually convert it, I'm probably going to keep one or two of these tables. If I don't keep the tables themselves, I'm going to keep out this layout. It'll inspire me for something. Because these tables are worn. You can see it from here. There's like gunk all over them. I don't really want to figure out what that is. So I might just replace the whole table. Seats I might just fix up. Not entirely sure yet, but we shall see. And the last thing I'd probably want to change on this bus is that right here. This emergency exit, I want to change to a little sunroof, because this is cracked along the edge, so when it rains, it comes in pretty badly. It kind of floods into these lights here, so that's definitely something I need to figure out. This is probably another thing that's going to be changed rather quickly. Everything else is probably going to stay for like a year or two, but major repairs like this are probably going to be my first few things to go. So that's about everything. I have to get going to the store to get some equipment, and I'm going to take the bus because I need more experience driving it. Hopefully this isn't my only video. I'll try to record things as I do them, but like I said, right now, since it's winter, recording's kind of hard because it's going to be dark out, and the only thing showing me the way is going to be some headlamps and lanterns. So it might be harder to film. I might do a lot of this where I show like the aftermath of everything. One last thing that I wanted to mention, because I didn't mention this before and I said I would show you, but I ended up not doing that. So that emergency light back there, I originally was not putting the backup camera on that circuit. Originally that circuit was going to be or it was originally going to be connected to the running lights, like just the running light circuit. I could have put it into the reverse lamps, but I want to have the option to turn it on while the bus was not reversing if I ever needed to. Not that I would use it often, but I just want to have that option there, you know. So I ended up not doing that. I was going to put it into the running lights. I had the wiretaps and everything. It was all set up. But for some reason, that just wasn't working. It was getting the right voltage and everything, but the camera would never turn on back there, and I don't know why. The camera was originally going to be, like, around the license plate area, instead of as high as I have it now. But luckily, that emergency light that I showed you, that has that's a whole panel that comes off, and I just tapped onto that, and then grounded the cable to the frame, the negative connector to the frame. So all in all, pretty easy, a workaround. I was going back and forth between using the floodlight and the running lights, and I'm kind of happy that's how it turned out, even though I'm disappointed that the main lights didn't work. Because the lights were working, and whenever I tested it, I reassembled everything, so that's how it would have been. It wasn't me just, like, testing it, like, with the light off or something, being like, oh, why isn't this working? So that fortunately for me, it kind of ended up how I wanted it to, because I think tying it to the floodlight is ultimately the best decision. But yeah, okay, that's officially everything. I know this is kind of a long video. I'm going to try to cut it down, but yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you weren't entirely bored and clicked off. If you have stayed this whole time, I really appreciate it. And hopefully I will see you in the next one.